Guys, welcome to the Simplysoccer podcast. This podcast is designed to help you improve your game and stand out on the pitch, and we give you the tools, the ideas, the practices in order to do that. Before we start, I just want to let you know this video is brought to you by the Simplysoccer training programs. We have a whole new website, and we're actually doing a Christmas sale right now. And if you have been watching my stuff for a while, you'll know that I'm a big believer in investing in yourself, especially into proven systems, which all of these courses are. So if you're struggling with your skills, we have a course for that, Ultimate Soccer Skills. You can get that for 50% off right now. If you're struggling with your confidence, we have one for confidence, which is personally my favorite one. You can also get 50% off. Goals into Goals, which is a course that helps you on creating the perfect goals, being able to follow through on them and actually achieve all the goals that you want. So that's another great one, I think an underrated course. And we also have the Game Changer Masterclass, which is a much more low ticket course, which you can actually get for $2.99. And if you're not willing to invest that much into your growth as a player, then I can't really do much more for you, because I made it that price so that pretty much anyone could do it. So that's what this podcast is brought to you by, guys. I would definitely hop on and grab a course or two if you want to, because now's a great opportunity to get two for the price of one, or just to get one for half off. So make sure you go grab that. Also, I want to let you guys know that one-on-one coaching I have opened up again. For those of you who don't know much about one-on-one coaching, this is a paid coaching service that I offer to a select group of players that I know are actually trying to get better, who are open to improving, who are coachable, but I do accept applications. So if you go into the description, you can find the one-on-one coaching page. There are 3 different tiers, and each one has more and more options available. So for example, there's one where it's just email correspondence, all the way up to personalized training programs and analyzing your games and all this different stuff. So if you're really wanting to take your game to the next level, again, getting someone to personally coach you is one of the best things that you can do. So if that's something you're interested in, you can check that out in the description below. Anyway, let's get into this podcast. And this one is going to be a bit more of a flow podcast, but I want to go over some ideas that can help you as a player. Now, I released a video yesterday called 7 Signs, let me actually look up the title, 7 Signs or Weird Signs You'll Become a Pro Player. And I know this video is going to get a bit of slack, because it's talking about some of the things that are not so mainstream or widely accepted. I essentially took things that I know work universally, like these are laws, these absolutely work, but aren't really talked about much from a sporting perspective. And the thing with this kind of information is this is always the kind of stuff that years down the line will come out and be seen as a normal thing. Like if you know what the placebo effect is, for example, it's a widely recognized scientific phenomena. And many years ago, even still some people to this day, even though there's overwhelming evidence to show that it's true, but you go back not even that long ago and people would be saying this is BS, this is woo-woo, this isn't real. And now we have the scientific evidence to show actually the whole time it was real, and you just weren't open-minded to it if you believed in that, and you're just not willing to accept things that rock the boat, so to speak, especially when it comes to your normal paradigm. So with videos like that, I really ask of you to come into them with a open mind, because remember, with any of these videos I release, I don't really care if you like them. I don't really care if you take them on board and use what I'm talking about. Each video is simply an invitation to you to take what is useful and to use it if you want. I'm not having sleepless nights if you're not applying my advice. The advice I give you, the drills I give you, everything I give you on this channel is supposed to help you. It's designed to help you. Whether you are in my free videos and watching those, and I produce, more free content than anything else, or you're in a paid program. The point of any of them is that if you actually do it, that you'll improve, you'll get better at something, or whatever else. But I can't make you do it, nor am I going to lose sleep if you don't. This is your life. This is for you to take responsibility of your improvement as a player, as your improvement as a person. And I really can't do anything more than just present the ideas to you. So, for example, in that video, we go over things like visualization, we go over things like belief, we go over some of the more intangible internal work that you need to do in order to get towards that pro level. And I'm a firm believer in universal laws, that if you believe in something strongly enough and you keep moving in that direction and put your energy on it long enough, that you will achieve it. I almost cursed again. I gotta be careful now with YouTube's demonetization. But I don't care what it is you want, as long as it's coming from a good place, well-intentioned, because people think like, well, yeah, I want to rule the world, or yeah, I just want to embarrass these people. No, you see, that's the problem, is it doesn't work for things that are on the lower scale of what's called consciousness. You can't do things like I want to kill people, for example, or I want to dominate people, and then expect that to be something you can use these universal principles around. It doesn't work. The foundation of the universe is love. And although I'm not going to go down too far the rabbit hole on this channel because this is about soccer mainly, you can go check out my other channel, Heart Space, if you want to go further down the rabbit hole on universal principles, law of attraction, all of that stuff. But the problem is, guys, is you don't have to believe me on any of this stuff, because all I want you to do is take what serves you, what's going to improve your game and improve your life. That's what I want. Again, I'm not going to lose sleep if you do it or don't, but that is the intention behind all of this stuff, guys. I present you with this information, which actually opens me up to ridicule a lot, and I get it sometimes, and I'm a big boy. I'm fine with it. I can get criticized and be fine. I'm used to it, and I've developed thick enough skin to not let it affect me. But the point, guys, is don't disregard something just because it's not a popular opinion or it's something that's not mainstream, because the only person that hurts is you. If you come to the world with a closed mind, you'll end up getting closed-minded ideas, and you'll live a closed-minded life, and you'll improve as much as anyone else who is closed-minded will, which is not much. But if you can approach things with an open mind, you can experiment, try things, be open to anything that's going to help you get to your goals or improve you, then you will move much faster along than the people that are staying back in the old belief systems and archaic belief systems that are not helping them progress at all. And so we're going to go over some of the ideas in that video and expand upon them a little bit, because there are some ideas that I put in there. And if you haven't watched the video, I would recommend going to watch it. So it's my latest one before this podcast, which was 7 Weird Signs You'll Become a Pro Soccer Player. And I say weird because these are the kind of things that most people go like, that's strange, that's not normal, right? I've made videos on 5 signs you will become one, 5 signs you won't, and these go over more of the obvious ones. Like if you're not training consistently, if you're not trying to do everything you can to work on your body and do all these other things, then you won't. Like those things, those are all physical, those are physical things. But I wanted to go over more of those intangibles, those things that are happening in the background that you may not be able to see, but you can maybe sense. And so, yeah, they're going to be a bit strange. But these are not things that I've just pulled out of my ass and went, oh, that sounds nice. These are things I've either experienced for myself or I've seen overwhelming evidence that supports this. Again, there's always a choice you can make. You can stick with the normal old paradigm, which just means the normal old reality that most people follow. But if you look throughout history, usually the old paradigm of whatever day and age it is almost always outdated, and it just takes a while for people to understand new information and to start following that new information, which ends up being true. And I think we're at a bit of a precipice when it comes to this kind of thing today, where we are so stuck within Newtonian physics that a lot of people ignore what's called quantum mechanics. And a lot of what I talked about in that video applies to the quantum mechanics instead of just Newtonian physics. Newtonian physics has to do mainly with the physical, force and things of that nature. It's the physical. Where quantum mechanics has to do with energy. And energy is not actually physical. It's not something that is physical. It's something that could become physical, but it's not in its purest form physical. And so a lot of people have trouble grasping that, but if you can grasp these universal principles, you can use them to your advantage to become a better player, a better person, to improve in any area, because we are all operating on these universal principles. It's not by chance that if you meet a very incredibly negative person, a lot of negative things happen in their life, versus if you meet an incredibly positive, well-intentioned person, a lot of good things happen in their life. Why do you think that is? Why do you think with people who are very well-intentioned, and of course there are people who try and make it seem like they're well-intentioned, but they're not. There are people who try and pretend they're positive, but if you get them alone when a crowd's not around them, you'll see that they're not. So I'm talking about people who are truly negative or truly positive. Why is it that the person who you know is just negative and at their core and they're complaining all the time, why is it it seems, not so great things happen to them? Why does it seem like they always have things to complain about? Why does it seem like they're not getting better as a footballer? They always have an injury, they always, whatever it is, right? Versus someone who has a more positive outlook always seems to be in a good mood, always seems to find more things to be positive about, always seems to have success in a lot of areas. Have you noticed that when one person becomes successful in one area, they start becoming successful in all areas? The reason is because they've developed certain beliefs and mindsets. They've understand these universal principles, or at least doing them without realizing it. And this is why this information is so important, guys, because you can do the same. Ultimately, at the end of the day, understand all of this is a choice. Again, I can present you with this information, and I don't really care when someone says, oh, this is blah, 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 this won't help you, blah, blah, blah. You have to understand also, for some of you, I know for some of you, you get deterred when you see someone in the comments say something about something that might be a bit woo-woo. But you have to ask yourself, who is this person who is completely bashing this idea? Who is this person who is completely disregarding it? Do you want to be like that person? Does that person actually speak for you? Is that someone who you want to be like? You always have to ask yourself that when you're gathering information, even like me, guys. Don't even just take what I say at face value. I would never ask you to do that. I would always ask you to go out and do your own research, experience things for yourself. I don't care if you agree with me. I'm not here for people to agree with me or people to, validate me or whatever else it is. I'm just here to try and present you with things I found incredibly useful and I know work. That's it. That is pretty much the whole game. I'm just trying to present you with things that I know work, things that I'm doing in my own life that I've seen incredible results doing. And guys, I'm living a life that I absolutely love right now. I get to play football all the time. I get to create content around a sport that I love. I have my other channel where I get to talk about these topics and share my experiences with these universal principles that I love. I get to travel the world. I have a girlfriend who I absolutely love, a relationship that I absolutely love. I have very close friendships that I absolutely love as well. Every single day I get to do these things. So I'm not really too concerned, about what someone thinks of me or someone says, because honestly, whenever you're doing things on your own terms, those people are always going to come in. But to the other point, I'm trying to give you in these things what's useful. I don't care if it's poo-pooed, but I know it's useful. And something you'll learn, especially as you go on your own journey and you continue growing, when you start experiencing things, when you start growing, when you start having successes, when you start realizing certain things work, it is every well-intentioned person's inclination to give back. I had a mentor once who said that one of the best life principles, he had 11 life principles to follow, and one of them at the very end was called pass the torch. And that is, when you learn something that can help humanity or help people, it is your obligation to pass the torch on to the next person. And what that means is to share, not hoard, what it is you know. Whether it's at the expense or at the potential of being ridiculed or whatever else, you need to get over that egoic thing, because when you become ridiculed, when someone ridicules you or makes fun of you or criticizes you or whatever else, it's only your ego that gives a shit. There I go, I cursed. It's only your ego that cares. It's not the true part of you. Your ego's not you, but it's your ego that cares. But to become someone who is contributing, to become someone who can help others, to become someone who is becoming the best version of themselves, you have to really allow that to fall away. Or at least, you have it, but you don't allow your life to be dictated by it. And so many people are running around with untamed egos, not even being aware that they're operating from ego. And so you really don't want to be coming from that energy where you're all ego, because again, that's just going to lead you down the commonly traveled path, which, if you want to take a look at the common person, if you want to take a look at the person who makes safe choices, who won't be open-minded to new ideas, who lives from Newtonian physics, the old paradigm, take a look at their results. Take a look at their lives. If you ask them, are they happy? Would they say yes? If you ask them, are they fulfilled? Would they say yes? If you ask them, if they even have a goal or a vision for their life, would they be able to give you one? And when you start learning from people like that, you will grow at the level of the information or the people you're learning from. So when I'm learning from people, I don't just learn from any old person. I don't just learn from someone who gets mediocre results, for example. I want to learn from someone who's incredibly successful. If I buy a program, for example, for soccer, I'll buy programs from other people, right? I'm going to buy them from people I know what they're talking about, right? If I want to, improve my knowledge of the game and improve my training methods and everything else, I'm not going to get it from like a random person in my comments who claims to know everything and then turns out to be like a 13-year-old kid who doesn't even play. The same thing applies to you as well. You have to look at what is the person doing, what is their intentions, what is their energy like? Do I want to learn from this person? For example, I'm in a mastermind right now where I paid a lot of money to be with this guy who's incredibly successful, but he also is an incredible person. He contributes to the world. He is someone who is an incredibly friendly, kind, well-loving, what's the word I'm looking for? Well-natured, nurtured. I can't remember. I can't think of the word. But he's someone who I vetted and went, I want to learn from this guy. Because I look at his life and go, I want some of the things he has in his life in mine. I want to cultivate that. And I know by following him at that level, that's going to bring more of that stuff into my life. Okay? So whenever you get deterred by something because someone is putting social pressure on you because they're going like, oh, that's woo-woo, that's bullshit. You have to ask yourself, why would I listen to this guy? And you can ask yourself that to anyone. Me as well. It's a very valid question. Why would I listen to this guy? So for example, with me, why would you listen to me? Well, let's say you've seen some of my videos and you've applied it and you've gotten results. That would be a good reason. Let's say a lot of what I'm saying is resonating with you. That would be another good reason. There's a reason energy doesn't lie. There's a reason something would resonate with you. But if someone in the comments, for example, or just a person who is faceless, anonymous, it's very easy to, by the way, guys, criticize and make comments on the internet. I, for one, personally try and avoid anyone who goes on the internet and just tries to get in arguments with people and makes negative comments, because you have to understand the energy this person's coming from. That's not someone I want to hang around with, interact with. I rarely try and interact with them unless I think it's going to be constructive, but I've learned my lesson sometimes because it'll just devolve into some crazy, silly thing, really petty, egoic thing, which I don't want to tie my energy into. But you have to ask yourself, whenever someone's trying to convince you of something, what energy are they coming from? Are they well-intentioned? What are they trying to get out of it? What is this, an egoic thing? Like, are they doing this based on ego? Or is it because they actually want to help you? Is it because they actually want to pass the torch and give you information? And when I make these podcasts, when I make these videos, that is what I'm trying to do. I've learned so many incredible things. I mean, some insane things, guys, that I want to share, and I'm trying to think of the best way to do that. For you guys who want to learn that kind of stuff, go to my other channel, Heart Space. It should be on the homepage of Simplysoccer, or I'll link it down below so you can check it out if you want to. But I want to be able to pass the torch in that way. And I know a lot of people are not going to they're not going to resonate with it, but I know some people will. And if even 1 or 2 or 3 people come through, resonate with that information, and it helps change them in some way, in a positive way, then it's worth it, right? It doesn't need to get billions and millions of views, although I'm not going to block myself from that. I will be open to receiving that. However, understand the intentions of where the information is coming from. That's all. Okay. So when you're looking at this video, for example, the 7 weird signs you'll become a pro, understand that this is real stuff. This is not something I pulled out of my butt. And when people react angrily to stuff like that, you have to kind of ask, why is it they're reacting angrily? What is it inside of them that's causing them to do that? Do I really want to listen to someone that just sees something and can't compose themselves to articulate a debate in a well-mannered way, right? Like, if I disagree with something that someone says, my reaction isn't to go like, oh, you're an idiot, or you're woo-woo, whatever it is. It's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Tell me more. What makes you think that? Because I'm actually genuinely curious when someone believes something that's alternative to what I believe, especially if I think that person is someone who's well-researched. I think that person is someone who's well-intentioned, because I want to know how they got there. I want to know if what they're saying has more legitimacy than what I'm saying. I want to know if, like, oh, is there something from what they're saying that I could potentially plug into my reality or plug into what I believe? Like, is there something they're doing that's related to soccer? Are they doing a specific training thing I haven't seen before? And I think, it's like something I haven't heard of, and it's not part of my belief system yet. But I think they're well-intentioned. They wouldn't have it without a reason, or if it's getting results. And then I ask, like, okay, so why? What's going on behind this? And then they explained it, and I go, oh, okay, that's really, okay, that makes complete sense. And then I can explore it a little more, and then potentially take it on, right? So that's how I would approach something like that. When someone reacts angrily, especially to information they are closed off to, you always have to kind of go, okay, why? Why is that? So with this kind of stuff, guys, don't allow it to deter you if you see people doing that, because ultimately I do want the best for you. I do want you to be able to pass the torch of the information I've learned right now. And I'm always learning, guys. You know, one of my biggest beliefs is to always be a learner. And this is something I coach a lot of you to do in my videos, in my courses, and when I do one-on-one coaching with clients. It's something that I promote a lot in that coaching, because I understand that even when our coaching ends, if they can learn to become a learner, to have that mindset, they will continue to grow and they won't stagnate. They will continue to look for ways to improve and move further and further along towards their goal of whatever it is, become a pro, go to college, and play, and whatever, right? And that's ultimately what we want. So let's go over a few of these signs. I'll go over some of the ones that I think are really, really important. Let me, I actually have a list of them so that I can pull this up for you. And I also want to go over one thing I mentioned in a video on heart space. It was the law of attraction for athletes. And this idea is really important. And it's so, again, this is one of those things you have to be open-minded to, but I want to present you with information and ideas and wisdom that can help you. And this one is even one I'm working on right now, because for me, and actually I'll mention this first since I'm going down this loop, because for me, I come from a very competitive background, right? And this advice is actually the opposite. And so I'm going to read you what it is. And this is from Wayne Dyer, but this is also supported by people like David Hawkins, who, again, this is all very researched. This is all very clinical. He really helped the kinesiology process, which is muscle testing. And basically what muscle testing is there's certain energy and certain thoughts make your body go weak, and certain other energy and thoughts makes your body go strong. And it's consistent, the same anytime. It doesn't matter who you do it on, or what you do it for. If something will make you weak, it'll always make you weak, and something will make you strong will always make you strong. And so this is very important to know as an athlete, because you don't want to be doing things that make you weak in games. You want to be doing things that make you strong. Because if you're in a match and let's say you're thinking certain things, or you have a certain energy about you and it makes you weak, guess what? It makes you more susceptible to injury. It means your body cannot now do the things that it wants to do for long periods of time, right? So here is the quote from the book. And also we categorize this by saying force. Force is the weak one, while power is the strong one. When you're coming from force, you're trying to force things to happen, things outside of your control, and that makes your body go weak. When you come from power, and it's just empowerment, and you focus on what you can control, your body becomes strong. So let me just quote this for you. For example, in an athletic event, your thoughts are on overpowering your opponent, being better than another, and playing and winning at any cost. The entire muscular structure of your body is actually weakened because thoughts of force weaken you. On the other hand, if in the midst of an athletic event you can keep your thoughts on performing at your highest capacity, on using your inner strength to muster the energy to be as efficient as it's possible for you to be, and to have great respect for your God-given abilities, you will actually be empowering yourself. A thought of force requires a counterforce and a battle that weakens, while a thought of power strengthens you, since no counterforce is called into play to consume your energy. Power thoughts energize you, since they make no demands of you. And so this is an idea that one is proven to work. So again, like, you can do your own research on this, power versus force. This is another one where a lot of people like to argue this, even though they have no clue about the research. They have no clue about what they're talking about, but they like to argue it because it's a part of the old paradigm and they don't like to move into the new one. The one where over time, guys, we're always discovering new things. And again, we want to give you the tools that make you a better player, make you a better person, give you an edge. And so essentially what this quote is saying is that people that come from a mindset of competition, about being better than, about embarrassing someone, about dominating someone, this weakens your muscular skeletal system. It does. And again, this is clinically proving. You can debate and rage, anyone can, as long as you want, but this is clinically proven. And I mean, they've done muscle testing thousands, I think hundreds of thousands of times. The sample size is enormous, done over decades. Decades and decades and decades of research along the board. It is consistent. It weakens your body. It weakens the muscles in your body. It does not allow you to perform at your peak. So you can, go over whatever and be like, oh, well, competitiveness is that's what drives you, blah, blah, blah. Not necessarily. That's just one force that people have been using to drive them. That doesn't mean there aren't other ones. And if you want to come from the best one, then I would recommend you consider taking this in. So force, that's force, being competitive about, it's all about, I have to win at all costs. Even if that means being not integral, even if that means, screwing someone over, or even hurting someone else, right? I got to win at all costs. Maybe in a match that means I got to play dirty. I got to, this guy's a good player. I have to injure him instead of just winning fairly. I think we can all agree that injuring an opponent deliberately is not the way we want to be. That in my eyes is cheating. Injuring someone deliberately because they're really good or whatever. You're saying to yourself, I can't compete with this guy. I can't operate at his level, so I'm just going to take him out. I understand that teams sometimes will do that and players will sometimes do that, but I have zero respect for anyone that comes from that mindset that goes, I'm going to injure this guy. I have nothing wrong with being physical. Guys, be physical in games. That's a part of the game. That's a part of the fun. We're not delicate little flowers. I was playing in a pickup match the other day, and I knocked a few people over while protecting the ball, and that's just going to happen. But anyway, so competitive. So like he said, your thoughts are on overpowering your opponent. This is force. Being better than another and playing to win at all costs. And this causes the muscular structure of your body to weaken. Again, guys, this is proven. So when you come from force, it weakens you. So, okay, so this old paradigm of being competitive weakens you. But I don't want to lose my competitive edge, so what can I do instead? What can I do that can replace this force energy so that I still perform well? Because I want to perform well, I want to become better. Well, here we go. So it says instead, in the midst of an athletic event, so whatever it is, playing football, obviously practice, if you can keep your thoughts on performing at your highest capacity. So notice how that's different than on overpowering your opponent. So you're not thinking of, oh, I'm going to embarrass this guy. I'm going to be better than this guy. My ego's getting hit. You're just concentrating on yourself, because when you're focusing on someone else, no matter what way you want to shake it, you are focusing on things that are outside of your control. But when you focus on performing at your highest capacity, suddenly you're coming from an empowerment foundation, which gives you power. And now you don't have an equal or opposite force going against you. You are now just focusing on yourself, on how you can perform the best, how you can help your team the best, instead of coming from this, I have to screw over, or I have to be better than. On using your inner strength to muster the energy to be as efficient as possible and to have great respect for your God-given abilities. You are respecting the process, right? You are respecting, everything. I have no ill will towards any opponents whenever I play them. I have complete respect for them. We're playing a game. We're having fun. We're in flow. Yeah, we're trying to win, but not at all costs. Geez, do you even know what that means? But guys, regardless of whether you agree with that or not, agree with the science. Agree with the research that shows that this is 100% true. That no matter what way you shake it, when you come from a force, when you come from being competitive, when you come from being, I've got to overpower someone, or I have to be better than someone else, or I have to win at all costs, that weakens your body, which lowers your performance. So even if you're not going to do this for a morality reason, at least do this because you want to improve your performances. So you focus on things of power. Now, guys, I understand this is difficult because if you're like me, you come from a very competitive background. I was very, very competitive. I still am. When I played the other day, my ego still came up a little bit, and this is something I'm working on, but I know that when I can get to the point where I'm just playing and I'm focusing on just playing my best, when I'm just focusing on using my inner strength and the abilities I have and respect that whole process, it's going to be a lot better. And I won't allow this dominating my opponent, embarrassing my opponent, to cloud my judgment. Big egoic things. You just focus on your own performance. And again, guys, this is something that is proven. This is not something where I'm pulling this out of my butt. This is not something where I'm just saying things to say things. These are things that are well documented, well researched, things that, are out there and available for you that you may just not be aware of. And it's important to make sure you're researching these. And yeah, most people are not going to agree with this. Most people, even who have been coaching for a while or whatever, might not. Because again, when you come from the foundation of certain information for such a long period of time, it is even harder to switch your belief. If I believe, for example, 50 years that being, as competitive and win at all costs is the way to go, I'm never going to agree with this unless I'm very open-minded. So you have to understand that just because someone like that says this isn't true or whatever else it is, to go out and do your own research. Don't take anything at face value. I'm not telling you to believe this necessarily. I'm telling you to go out and get curious and go, I wonder if there's something to this. Read the book Power versus Force. Look up David Hawkins. Look up kinesiology. Look up the research done behind this. And then you can start using it as a tool so that it serves you. That's the whole point, guys. What serves you and what doesn't. If you find out, based on what I'm saying and research you do, that holy crap, being this certain way is actually weakening my body, coming from forces weakening my body, and there's other ways empowering it, why wouldn't you use that information to serve you to become a better person and a better player? So I'm going to leave it at that, guys. Anyway, we're at our 30-minute mark. I know this has been a bit of a rant, a rambling around, but I want to give you that information because I think it's incredibly important. Again, this is not something that's mainstream, and I don't give a shit. I don't want to just give you things that are the mainstream and are like the typical things and blah, blah, blah. Again, pass the torch. When I discover something that I believe in my heart works and I've seen the research and I know it can be something of absolute amazing benefit, I don't want to be that guy that holds on to it because I'm scared that someone might not like it or someone will make fun of me. Oh no, who cares, guys? I want you to have the information that can help you, can alter the way you think, change your life, make you more heart-centered, make you a better player, make you a better person, all of that. I don't really care about the rest of that stuff. That is my mission, that is my goal, that is my vision, and that is what I want for you. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this one. We'll do a hashtag like we usually do. That means if you put this hashtag in the comments, it lets me know that you are listening. Also, if you put this hashtag in the comments along with a question or a podcast suggestion for the next episode, I'm way more likely to answer it and to use that suggestion. So the hashtag is going to be hashtag power. And if you put that in the comments with your question or your suggestion for the next podcast, I am way more likely to pay attention to those who actually listen all the way through and are actually trying to improve. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode, and I'll see you in the next one.